Peppa Pig, Peppa's Christmas. It is Christmas Eve. Peppa, George and their friends are posting letters to Father Christmas.
I can't wait to see what Father Christmas brings us all,
cries Peppa. Everyone is very excited. That afternoon, Daddy Pig buys the biggest Christmas tree he can find.
Daddy, it won't fit in the car,
giggles Peppa. I'll just have to carry it home, grunts Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig carries the Christmas tree up and down the hill all the way home. The tree is heavy and it takes him a long time. Poor Daddy Pig, he is worn out. Daddy Pig finally makes it home.
Let's decorate the tree,
says Mummy Pig. Daddy Pig puts a shiny star at the very top. Ooh! Everyone gasps. The tree looks beautiful. Peppa and George leave a snack for Father Christmas by the fireplace. Time for bed now, smiles Daddy. Father Christmas won't come unless you are asleep. Peppa and George are tucked up in bed when they hear a loud thump. It's Father Christmas. He can't get down the chimney, so he goes down to the front door. Peppa and George race downstairs giggling. Hello, Peppa and George, cries Father Christmas. Merry Christmas. Now off to bed so I can deliver your presents. Hooray! It's Christmas morning. George gets a toy train and Peppa gets a yo-yo. But Peppa and George's favourite present was definitely meeting Father Christmas.
This is the best Christmas ever!
Cheers, Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig, Good Night, Peppa. Once upon a time, Granny and Grandpa Pig came round for dinner. It was almost time for Peppa and George to go to bed. Suddenly, Daddy Pig yawned very loudly while they were eating. Everyone giggled. Oh, sorry, snorted Daddy Pig. I'm a little tired. Peppa and George weren't tired at all.
Can we jump in puddles just for a tiny bit?
asked Peppa.
Please.
Okay, said Daddy Pig, but you must come in at bath time. Peppa and George loved jumping up and down in muddy puddles. They jumped up and down until they were covered in mud. Peppa, George, called Daddy Pig. You must be feeling sleepy after all that jumping. Let's get you into the bath.
But Daddy, we're not even a little bit sleepy,
replied Peppa. Peppa and George splashed in the bath until they were both nice and clean. I think bath time is over, said Daddy Pig, who was dripping wet. You must be tired after all that splashing.
We're not even a little bit tired,
cried Peppa, splashing Daddy Pig again. Laughed George. Daddy Pig was soaked. Peppa and George hopped out the bath. They dried off and put their pyjamas on very slowly. Then they brushed their teeth for an extra long time. Brush, brush, brush. Quick, wash your faces. Granny Pig wants to tuck you into bed, said Mummy Pig.
Hooray!
Yippee! Cheered Peppa.
Daddy Pig.
cheered George. Peppa and George were finally ready for bed. They said goodnight to Mummy and Daddy Pig and found Granny Pig waiting in their room.
Come on, little ones, said Granny Pig. It's bedtime. Hop in. I can't go to bed without Teddy, said Peppa. Dinosaur,
sobbed George. So Granny Pig found Teddy and Mr. Dinosaur and tucked everyone in.
Good night, Peppa and Teddy, said Granny Pig. Good night, George and Mr. Dinosaur. But we're not even the tiniest bit sleepy, Granny,
said Peppa.
I see, said Granny Pig. I wonder what will make you sleepy. Can you tell us a bedtime story?
asked Peppa.
Of course, Peppa, said Granny Pig. As long as you promise to go to sleep as soon as the story ends. We promise,
cried Peppa. Peppa and George loved bedtime stories. Granny Pig began telling a story.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess called Peppa,
interrupted Peppa.
Yes,
said Granny Pig.
And Sir George the Brave Knight,
Peppa interrupted again. Giggled George. Granny Pig carried on.
Princess Peppa and Sir George lived in a castle. A great big castle in the sky, said Peppa.
Granny Pig tried to finish the story.
Princess Peppa and Sir George had been playing all day in the castle and were very tired. Then the king arrived,
cheered Peppa.
And the cook, and the wizard, and the scary dragon dinosaur. Dinosaur,
added George.
And the cook made them all a giant picnic with sandwiches, cakes, jelly.
Peppa listed all the food she could think of. Grandpa Pig came to find Granny Pig.
I'm telling Peppa and George a bedtime story, explained Granny Pig. And we promise to go to sleep when this story ends, added Peppa.
I see, said Grandpa Pig.
Granny Pig, why don't you leave this to me? I am good at ending stories.
So Granny Pig said good night and went downstairs. Grandpa Pig did his best to end the story.
After they ate the lovely picnic, everyone fell asleep. The end.
But Peppa did not want the story to end.
Then they all woke up and their friends arrived, she cried, Princess Peppa's carriage, and decided to have a great big party.
Soon, Daddy Pig came upstairs. I'm the expert at telling bedtime stories, he said. Then he whispered quietly to Grandpa Pig, I'll have them asleep in no time. So Grandpa Pig said good night and went downstairs.
Princess Peppa and Sir George were just about to have a great big party,
Peppa told Daddy Pig. I see, he replied. Thud, thud, thud. Mummy Pig heard banging, so she came upstairs too. Peppa, George and Daddy Pig were dancing.
We're having a party like in the story, explained Peppa.
They're almost asleep, said Daddy Pig.
Thank you, Daddy, said Mummy Pig. I'll take over now.
So Daddy Pig said good night and went downstairs. Mummy Pig tucked Peppa and George back into bed. Then she asked Peppa to tell her the whole bedtime story from the beginning, very quietly.
Once upon a time,
whispered Peppa, yawning,
there was a beautiful princess called Peppa. She lived with Sir George the Brave Knight in a great big castle in the sky.
Speaking softly was making Peppa really sleepy. Peppa tried to finish the story, but she just couldn't keep her eyes open. Soon, George fell fast asleep, and so did Peppa. Mummy Pig looked at her two little ones, smiled, and whispered, "Good night, George. Good night, Peppa." Then she headed downstairs to find Granny, Grandpa Pig, and Daddy Pig fast asleep. It was bedtime for Peppa and George, and it was bedtime for everyone else too. "Good night," said Mummy Pig. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.